Have you ever felt creatively blocked? And even though you wanted to make art, you found yourself doing everything but making art? One amazing trick I have is to turn art making completely on its head. In this video, I'll show you why creating something ugly will not only get you out of a creative rut, it will actually reveal surprising soul messages about you. I'm Michelle Baker, creatrix of Art as a Soul Language. I help creative women in midlife use art to receive messages from their soul, guiding them towards purpose and fulfillment. All right, so it's been a little while since you've made art, or maybe the last few times you've tried, you kind of got started and it just puttered out. How do you get yourself back into the creative flow? I swear it sounds crazy, but to create something super ugly, like literally the ugliest thing possible, is an amazing way to turn art upside down because it removes the tension, right? Usually the thing that we worry about the most when we're making art is whether or not it's going to be good. Am I going to hate it? Am I going to ruin it? But when your intention is to make something ugly, it alleviates all of that pressure. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but why would I want to make something ugly? And there's a couple of reasons. First of all, because I guarantee it will get you back into relationship with art and alleviate some of the tension. A lot of the times we put too much pressure on the relationship between us and the art because we're focused on like, it needs to be good and it needs to come out easily and it needs to be the most amazing thing that I've ever made. And it's just like too much pressure. So by making something ugly, you're really giving art the ability to just be art. When kids make art, when young toddlers make art, they're doing it solely for the experience, for the fun and the enjoyment of what it's like. And when you make something ugly, you're getting a lot closer to that realm of just art making for the sake of art. The second reason this is a good idea is because it will actually reveal a lot about yourself. As you know, I'm a big fan of using art for self-discovery. So I'm not going to have you make something ugly if there isn't a deeper soul experience for you to get out of it. So in order for that to happen, the first step for anything in the Art as a Soul Language method is for you to set an intention. There's already the underlying intention that you're going to create something ugly, but that's a little bit more of just like the to-do. So what I want you to do is to set an intention of what it is that you most want to get out of this experience. So maybe your intention is to receive soul messages from your art. Maybe your intention is to connect more with your heart's longing. Maybe your intention is to reconnect with your creative spark. So I want you to notice how you get to be the decider of what comes through this experience. This is a call for you to step into your own empowerment. And by setting an intention, you are stepping forward with your will and allowing things to happen that are aligned with what it is that you most desire. The second step in this exercise is then to create something ugly, but let's break it down more. First of all, I want you to use materials that are the most easy and accessible to you. You shouldn't have to go to the store and buy anything to do this. That's actually a mind block. That's like, well, we're going to do it later because we have to go to the store. Wrong. So I want you to think about what would be the easiest thing to use because the whole point is to make something ugly. So you don't need some special paint or some special material to be able to do this. Maybe you want to use your kids' crayons. Maybe you just want to grab a piece of paper from the printer. Maybe you want to use paint on canvas. Totally up to you, but just notice how certain ideas are actually blocks to getting you to making art. And the whole point of doing this is to reconnect you with your art fast, easy, and quick. And when you have your easy and accessible materials right in front of you, then you're just going to make something ugly. You might notice that your mind wants to overcomplicate it because it is that simple. It's that easy. You just pick up that kid's crayon or that marker and you start making marks. And the only thing that you have to do is keep going until it looks really ugly to you. Step number 3 is already happening, which is to observe yourself. In order for this to be a mindful self-discovery experience with art, it's really important that you turn on your observer self. So when you imagine, or maybe you have the paper in front of you and the crayon or the marker or whatever, what happens to your mind when you know that you're going to try to make something ugly? Notice that because it probably has a lot to say. It might say like, this is so stupid. Why am I doing this? And you want to notice the thoughts that come up. Sometimes I'll even pull out my journal and just write all of the mind judgments in the journal and then come back to the art. So it's like I'm giving a place for all of the worry and the critic to go. And then I just come back to the experience of creating and letting that be more easy and pure. I've done this exercise with a lot of people already, and there tends to be 2 different camps. The people over here actually find a lot of freedom with this directive. It alleviates that pressure that they were feeling on themselves, and they find it's pretty easy to jump right in and just get started. And one funny side effect that happens just some of the time is people actually end up liking what they create. And if that happens, just go with it. It's totally fine. The other camp you might fall into this category is that you don't feel the freedom. You still notice that there is a lot of mind concerns and worries. And so, again, this is a very interesting thing to notice about yourself. What is it that's still going on for me? Maybe it's I have a hang up with making something ugly. That's actually very interesting to know about yourself, because think about it. If you take that further, if I make something ugly, what's that going to mean about me? What am I afraid if people see it that they'll think about me? Or what am I afraid that I'll think about myself? So you can see that there's an identification with what you're creating, which will be something ugly, and what it means about you in a certain way. And that's very valuable information that you want to take down the rabbit hole and find more out about yourself. And the motto in the women's program that I run is, if you're not willing to do it in art, you're never going to do it in life. So even if you feel trepidation about creating something ugly, I recommend that you do it anyway, because if you're not willing to do it in art when the stakes are really actually low, let's think about it for a moment, that you do actually create something ugly. Well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? So we want to push the mind past what it's afraid of and see that it's actually not that bad. And when you can do it in art, which is just like an 8.5 by 11-inch sheet of paper, when you can push past that mind fear and see that it actually wasn't as bad as you thought it would be, that actually waterfalls into your life so that you can see other ways in which your mind might be holding you back and push through those as well. This is why art is such a beautiful mirror for your own self-discovery, is because you are learning how to be more of who you want to be, either how to work with the constraints to find the freedom, or how to push past the mind fear to find your own inner strength. I've still got 2 more steps to share for this experience, but just take 1 second right now and like this video if you're finding it useful, or I would love it if you leave me a comment and just let me know what your first mind judgment was about my idea of creating something ugly. All right, the 4th step in this art as a soul language process of creating ugly is, after you've created ugly, you want to make sure that the ugly really is ugly to you. So there might be moments where you step back and pause and you're like, oh, it could be uglier, and you keep going. So once you've actually gotten to the state where you're like, yes, that is but ugly to me, then you're going to journal about it. And what I want you to journal about, again, this is the self-discovery piece, is what is ugly to you. Like I said, I've done this with a room full of people, and what I was so surprised by is how completely different people's ugly paintings were. So it hit me. Ugly is very subjective. Ugly is about me. What you think is ugly is about you. So write down what's ugly about your painting. Describe what is ugly about it to you, because this is actually a way to come into connection with your own visual vocabulary. And the 5th step of this art as a soul language process is to take what you wrote about what was ugly, the definition of ugly to you, and use it to understand yourself more deeply. Use it as a mirror to reflect back, like, what are the opposite of these things? Because the opposite of ugly to you is what you value most. That's actually why we find things ugly, is because they are so far away. They are on the very opposite end of the spectrum of what we find to be beautiful and valuable. And if you would like a step-by-step worksheet that will guide you through this entire experience with setting the intention and observing yourself, and then have some journaling prompts that will help you uncover the deeper messages that your art and your definition of ugly are reflecting about you and what you value most in life, I have a link right below this video for a free worksheet from me that will guide you right through it. And it can be really nice to follow something that leads you step by step when you already feel a little bit creatively blocked. It's like, I will hold your hand and take you through it and make sure you get to the other side. And if you would like my simplest, quickest, shortest art as a soul language exercise that you can literally do in 1 minute, I will make sure that there's a link to it right at the end of this video and also in the description below. Thank you for watching, and cheers to your deeper self-discovery through art.